let's take a look at a lot of the awesome new manga releases that came out in August of 2024. Welcome to the August 2024 Manga Buyer's Guide, the series of videos where you and I sit down and we take a look at the notable new releases coming out in any given month. Now, if you're new here and new to these videos, first of all, thank you for watching. I'm glad to have you here. The way that these works is that I don't go through the entire release schedule of every single new book that's coming out. We just look at the notable new releases, as I mentioned. And notable new releases are going to be all of the debut volumes, all of the final volumes, and all of the single volume releases. Now, the reason why I just look at those and not everything is because, number one, generally, if you are already following a series, you know when the new volumes are coming out, but also because my focus here is to try and help people manga collectors and readers like ourselves to be introduced to something new that might be our next new favorite read. There are so many new titles that come out each and every week of each and every month that is very easy for something to slip by you that you might really love. So thank you for joining. I usually try to get these out at the beginning of the month, but sometimes life gets in the way. The good thing though is that since most of these have already been released, almost anything that you see me talk about in this video is already going to be available for purchase in store and online. So if you see anything that you like here, you can probably already go out and buy a copy for yourself. The other thing I want to note is big thank you to James for helping me to put this video together. I finally decided, I bit the bullet, and I decided I need to get some help with this channel. So this should be the last video, the last Manga Buyer's Guide that I put out late in the month, because now I have James helping me to make the assets and the graphics for these videos, and that's gonna help me to get these out on time from here on forth. So big thank you to James for helping with that, and let's jump on in and see all the cool stuff that came out, all those notable new releases from August 6th. Now, first up, we have a few things from 7 Seas Entertainment, starting with Tokyo Revengers, a letter from Keisuke Baji. So Tokyo Revengers, of course, is a hugely popular series, and this is a spin-off that takes place after the Bloody Halloween story, which, big spoiler alert if you haven't read or watched the series yet, is where 1st Division Captain Keisuke Baji is brutally murdered. Months after this, Vice Captain Chifuyu received a letter from Baji on the day of his death, which stirs up memories of their time together. Now, this is still an ongoing series. The main series has ended, but this spin-off is, as of now, I believe still ongoing with 5 volumes released, and 7 Seas is releasing these in single volume editions that look pretty good on the shelves next to the 2-in-1s of the main series. Next up from 7 Seas is The Strange House, that is based on the novel of the same name, which also has a live-action movie adaptation. This is about an occult consultant who's brought in to investigate a house with a room that should not exist. No doors, no windows, and all that stuff. So if you're into horror and mysteries, this is going to be one that you might want to check out. I believe it's still ongoing in Japan, but given that it is based off of a novel, we know that there is an end in sight, so it shouldn't be too long of a series. Next up from 7 Seas, it wasn't going to be a month of releases from 7 Seas without one or more ecchi titles, and this time we've got She's the Strongest Bride, but I'm Stronger in Night Battles, a harem chronicle of advancing through cunning tactics. So this is part of the Ghost Ship line, which means that it is going to be more mature. It is an isekai harem about a man who uses his knowledge of Earth's history to start a revolution alongside his demon bride. And then one more new release coming from 7 Seas in that first week was No Love Zone. This is a webtoon series to office place rom-com BL between an employee and his new boss. Then over at Kodansha Comics, we've got one new debut for the first week, and that was Puppesits Attract. This is a slice of life series about a man and his outgoing Pomeranian plus a woman and her scaredy cat Rottweiler who take walks together, and those walks are the highlight of their days. So if you want something, if you're a dog lover like myself and you want something that's going to be kind of a just relaxing read, that might be a good one to pick up. Then we've got, coming from Inklore, Father, I Don't Want This Marriage. This is another webtoon release. The story follows a universally hated villainess who's left to die a traitor's death after being accused of poisoning a princess, but when she faces the threat of interrogation by a tyrant prince, she decides to take her own life. Of course, she is then reborn and determined to rewrite her fate, but to do so must deal with her father's protege, who sees her only as an obstacle to his own goals. Now, Inklore previously released the my love story with Yamada-kun at level 999, and there were some structural issues with that one. I haven't seen physical copies of this one yet, so I'm unsure, but hopefully they fixed some of those issues with binding, etc. But I guess we'll see. If anyone already has a copy, they can sound off in the comments below. This first volume collects the first 14 chapters out of 131 total, as the series did finish earlier this year. Then we have some final volumes in the first week. Boruto Volume 20 came out on the 6th. This wraps up the original Boruto series, and then it moves, of course, into Two Blue Vortex, which started, I believe, last year in Japan, and the first volume of which is going to be published next February 2025 in English, physically. Then we have a big one from Seven Seas, the final volume, Volume 5 of Yokohama Kaidashi Kiko. I absolutely love this series, and it is a very popular one that a lot of people rightfully love as well. If you haven't picked it up and something relaxing is what you need, then this 5-volume deluxe edition series is definitely something that I would recommend. Next up, the Knight Captain is the New Princess to Be Volume 4. This is the end of Seven Seas shoujo fantasy romance title. I really don't know much about that one, so I can't give any more context. And then over at Kodansha, we get the final volume of My Lovesick Life as a 90s otaku. Is Volume 4. So that one I've heard some great stuff about. It's a josei romance. I have not picked it up myself, but I might have to go ahead and do so from all the good word that I've heard about it. Now, moving into those things that were released on the 13th of the month, first up is the Concierge at Hokyoku Department Store from Seven Seas Entertainment. This is the first of 2 volumes of this award-winning series that inspired the anime film. A concierge at a department store whose clientele are animals of various species must fulfill their complicated requests to the best of her ability. Also from Seven Seas, we have the first volume of something I've been looking forward to checking out, Killer Shark in Another World. So in this comedy horror fantasy title, a seemingly unskilled summoner is able to call forth Shark Killer, a creature that can transform into all the Hollywood B-movie sharks. Now with her shark trying to devour everyone in sight, can she defeat the Demon King and end his reign of terror? This one looks like a lot of fun. I have a copy. Haven't gotten to dig in yet, but I cannot wait because it looks like a really great read. Then also from Seven Seas in their steamship line is Alpha Wolf Girl Omega Wolf Boy, a steamy Omegaverse workplace romance about the Wolf Boy Omega posing as an alpha and the new Wolf Girl who starts working at the restaurant with him, who reveals that she's been posing as an alpha as well. Then moving over to Drawn and Quarterly, we have the 4th volume in their complete works collection for the legendary mangaka Yoshiharu Tsuge, Oba Electroplating Factory. So each of these volumes, it is a series comprising Tsuge's complete works, but they can be, you can take one at a time in whatever order you want to. There's it can be approached as a single volume release, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So these stories are some of Tsuge's more personal and revealing works that were published between 1973 and 1974. Moving forth from Udon Entertainment, we have More Than a Married Couple But Not Lovers. This is an ongoing seinen romance title of 2 opposites paired together for a class called Marriage Practical, where they must live together and act like a married couple in order to earn the right to exchange partners with their crushes. And then we have another first volume coming out from Digital Manga Publishing, DMP. We don't hear much from them, but usually when we do, it's going to be for a BL release like this one. Provocation and Ecstasy Volume 1 is the first of a 2-volume BL anthology of Ikuyasu's works, including his debut. Then over from Tuttle Publishing, we get Akutagawa's Rashomon and Other Stories. It's a collection of manga adaptations of some of Ryunosuke Akutagawa's short stories, including Rashomon, In the Grove, Otomi's Virginity, and The Martyr. Then one final release coming out, or that came out on the 13th, was Given Volume 9 from Sublime, the BL publisher under Viz Media. This is the final volume of the popular BL about the 4 members of the band called Given. I know that one's rather popular, but I have not read nor watched the series. I just know that a lot of people really love it, so if you are a fan, then you will definitely have wanted to pick that one up this month, or will want to pick it up soon. Moving into releases from August 20th, we start off with a new one coming from Viz Media as part of their Shonen Sunday line. I Want to Do Bad Things With You. This is a completed series. It only has 7 volumes, so it's not a huge commitment on your bookshelf. But this follows a school nobody who meets the school troublemaker and becomes captivated by him, wanting to join him in rebellion against the status quo. Then she learns that he lives in the shadow of his brother, who is considered by all girls to be the prince of the school. And together, they decide to derail his campaign to become the school's student council president. Moving forth, we have Kusunoki's flunking her high school glow-up from Kodansha Comics. Shizuki, a middle school outcast, goes to a new school to try and start high school fresh, where nobody knows of his past. But unexpectedly, he finds that the prettiest girl in his new class is a former classmate and fellow outcast from middle school, Kusunoki. While she may have changed her appearance, she still doesn't have the social skills she needs, which is where Shizuki comes in. Then over at 7 Seas, we have Too Many Losing Heroines. The manga and the light novel both debuted this month, and I believe the anime recently started or is going to be starting soon. This is a rom-com about a boy who helps his class's heroines stop losing and wind up with their crushes. So Too Many Losing Heroines, the heroines, the girls in his class, are unable to end up with the guys that they've been crushing on. So there's one guy in their class that's going to help them to do that. And that's why it's called Too Many Losing Heroines. Moving on, we get also from 7 Seas, the first omnibus edition or thick edition of Do You Like Big Girls? This collects the first 2 volumes of the ecchi volleyball manga series. This series is currently on hiatus with 8 volumes. All 8 volumes have been previously released by 7 Seas, so there will be at least 4 of these until the series possibly comes back from its hiatus. And has volumes 9 and so on. Next up, also from 7 Seas, is Hate Me But Let Me Stay. This is an Omegaverse BL Mpreg series where an Omega, who has fear and distrust towards alphas due to an assault he suffered years ago, meets an alpha who declares him as his destined mate. Moving on from Yen Press now, we have In Another World, My Sister Stole My Name. This is a fantasy romance shoujo title about Ichiko, who uses a magic mirror that connects her to another world where she has a close friendship with a boy named Cecil. Only her sister Karen knows of the mirror and of Cecil, but one day they both disappear, the mirror and Karen. A year later, Ichika is pulled into the mirror she's pulled into the mirror world where she finds Cecil and her sister, whose first words to her are, "I've missed you, Karen." In this mirror world, her sister has stolen her name and her past, and now Ichika must find a way to forge her own destiny. So it's basically identity theft, the manga. Next up from Yen Press, we get Rejected by the Hero's Party. A princess decided to live a quiet life in the countryside. Princess Rizlet has been regarded as a brave warrior who protected her home against the Demon Lord but before the Hero's Party stepped in. But now she's been thrown out of her own country. Now she starts a new life as an adventurer, traveling wherever the wind takes her. This shonen series is only 3 volumes long, so if you want a fun little fantasy title, that might be for you. Next up, also from Yen Press, is Strategic Lovers. This is an ecchi series about Kota, the estranged son of a wealthy corporate chairman who is nearing the end of his life. As his father's condition worsens, Kota is brought in to become the next chairman. And on top of that, he has 5 women in front of him vying for his attention, each with their own agenda. And another one from Yen Press, the Hachioji specialty, Tengu's Love. This is a supernatural rom-com series about a young bachelor who moves into his grandparents' old home and a Tengu woman who has declared that they are to be married. Moving on, we get some final volume releases in the 3rd week on the 20th. First up, Welcome Back Alice by Shuzo Oshimi from Kodansha and Vertical Comics. Volume 7, this ends the psychological drama about childhood friends who are reunited years later when one has transitioned from male to female. Then also from Kodansha and Vertical Comics is Bakemonogatari Volume 22, the finale of the manga adaptation covering part of the popular Monogatari novel series. And then from Yen Press, My Youth Romantic Comedy Is Wrong As I Expected at Comic Volume 20. Then also from Yen Press, the 4th volume to Illustrated Guide to Monster Girls, the shoujo horror comedy series. And One more final volume release for the 20th is Fangirl Volume 4 from Viz Media as part of the Viz Originals line. This is an adaptation of the popular novel by Rainbow Rowell. Now, before we move into the releases on the 27th, the final week of August, a quick word from the sponsor of this video, Walt's Comic Shop. If you're in the US, we have plenty of options of places where you can shop for manga, like Crunchyroll, InStockTrades.com, where I get most of my stuff, Amazon, or you can go into brick and mortar shops like Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, etc., whatever's around you. But I know that for the viewers of mine who are in the EU, there might be a lot less options for you. And that's why I'm happy that I've been partnered for a little while with waltscomicshop.com, who is a fantastic option as a manga and comics retailer for those of you in the EU. You go to waltscomicshop.com, you'll see that they have all kinds of options and selection, a great broad selection of manga from all publishers for great prices, and they do offer shipping across the EU as well. They do have Western comics, so if you're interested in trying something from Marvel, DC, Image Comics, etc., then you can find something to read over there as well. Now, if you are a first-time shopper with Walt's Comic Shop, you can use the code TheOmnibusCollector at checkout, and you'll get free shipping on your first order of €40 or more within the EU. So again, if you are a first-time shopper over at Walt's Comic Shop, grab you some manga, maybe grab some comics, and use the code TheOmnibusCollector to get free shipping on your first order within the EU, over €40. Now, moving into the releases on the 27th, we start out with one that I am particularly excited about, and thus I have a lot of words to say about it, My Neighbor Totoro Film Comic All-in-One Edition. Now this, of course, is the film comic adaptation of the Studio Ghibli film by Hayao Miyazaki. Now back in the 2000s, Viz was releasing a lot of these in like 4 or 5 volume series. I know that they did a lot of the Ghibli and Miyazaki movies like Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle, Castle in the Sky, stuff like that. And a lot of others. I know that there were more in Japan than what we got in the US, and I don't know if Japan got everything from Ghibli, or at least all of the Miyazaki releases, but they did get a lot of them that we didn't. Anyway, these are fantastic little books that essentially I would agree with the sentiment that a lot of people have when it's like, what's the point of just taking stills from a movie and putting it on paper as like panels of a comic? But in the case of these, this is one of the very few cases where I would say this is definitely worthwhile, because if you're a fan of Miyazaki's films, if you're a fan of Studio Ghibli, you know that every single one of these movies, you can pause on any frame, and any still frame is going to be a beautiful portrait. And now, instead of having to, you know, pause a movie and go through frame by frame to appreciate every one of them, you can just pick up one of these film comics, and they have all the artwork there for you to see. So in my opinion, these are going to be worthwhile. It's the entirety of the 500, almost 600 page adaptation of My Neighbor Totoro in a single $30 package. The one downside that I do want to say is the trim size is going to be smaller. I was hoping they would be oversized hardcovers, but these are going to be about the same size as like your standard Shonen Jump or Shoujo Beat volume of manga. So that's the unfortunate part here, but it does look like Viz is turning this into a line of releases, because they've already announced more of these to be coming out in the not too distant future. So we can count on a pretty decent selection of these to be available going forward. Now, moving forth, I spent enough time talking about that one. Fire Force Manga Box Set 1. This collects the first 6 volumes of the Fire Force manga. I don't feel like I need to introduce the series itself to you, but this is the 3rd format after the single volumes and the omnibus editions that Kodansha has released for this popular series. So if you never bought into the single volumes and oversized omnibus editions are not for you, which they are for me, but I know they're not for everyone, then you can go ahead and pick up the first box set when it comes out on the 27th of August and get started with Fire Force. Also, the final omnibus edition is coming out soon. Volume 11 came out recently. Volume 12, collecting 33 and 34, will be the last one. Moving over to 7 Seas Entertainment, we get cat companions Maruru and Hachi. It's a heartwarming manga about 2 stray cats who team up together to make it through life on the streets. Then also from 7 Seas, we get Someone's Girlfriend. This is a romance ecchi manga about a guy who becomes entangled with his best friend's girlfriend. It's a little scandalous. Anyway, next after that, also from 7 Seas Entertainment, we've got a josei webtoon series, The Lady and Her Butler. Lim Suha has a career, a brand new home, but is looking to avoid romance. One day, a homeless man, Tae-soon, winds up at her door looking for a break, begging for a place to stay in exchange for becoming Lim Suha's housekeeper. Tae-soon proves he is capable and claims to Lim Suha that he is gay, so she decides to give him a chance on his offer. However, things could get complicated if Tae-soon's lie is revealed. The lie being the fact that he is not actually gay, I guess. I haven't read this, but according to the synopsis, he's not actually gay. Then from Yen Press, we start off with Dark Souls Redemption. This is an original Dark Souls story. As far as I'm aware, it's not from the games itself, so whether you're a fan of the games or you're like me and could not get good, you can enjoy Dark Souls via the manga adaptations such as this one. I've been really enjoying the Elden Ring manga. I know it's kind of a parody manga that Yen Press has been releasing, and the artwork on this one looks absolutely fantastic. So I haven't read my copy yet, but I am definitely wanting to sit down with it because it looks great. And yeah, I am actually really bad at Dark Souls. I tried, I couldn't, I'm gonna have to try again someday, but I honestly could not get good. Riviere and the Land of Prayer, also coming from Yen Press. This is a short 3-volume shonen fantasy. Riviere takes the homeless Macmillia on as an assistant in her magical antiques and curse dispelling shop, where she buys and sells to and from all manner of eclectic patrons. Their first job, investigating an impossibly lucky girl cleaning up at a local casino. Then also from Yen Press, The Dark History of the Reincarnated Villainess short story collection, a spin-off volume full of short stories related to the dark history of the Reincarnated Villainess series. Then another one from Yen Press. This is the last new release, the last volume 1 coming out for the month. Actually, it's an all-in-one. The Magical Girl and the Evil Lieutenant Used to Be Arch Enemies by Koko Fujiwara. It's an all-in-one collection of the final series by the creator of Dear and Inuboku SS before her passing. So she did 20 chapters before passing, but the story is not complete, and this just collects all 20 chapters of it. The story focuses on an evil lieutenant who falls in love with the girl who's meant to be his arch nemesis. Rather than try to find ways to defeat her, he spends his time trying to come up with reasons to see her, which she doesn't seem to mind. We have a few more final volume releases for the month. From Yen Press, Glitch Volume 4 by Shima Shinya. So if you were a fan of Lost Lad London, also by Shima Shinya, you'll probably want to pick up this quick 4-volume mystery series. Apparently Disillusioned Adventurers Will Save the World Volume 6, once again from Yen Press. This is a seinen adventure fantasy series. Then we've got Breasts Are My Favorite Thing in the World Volume 8. This one is a Yuri series, so girls love. It is an ecchi. And then from 7 Seas Entertainment, we have the last release of the month. J.K. Haru is a Sex Worker in Another World, Volume 7. This is a fantasy, erotica, isekai type series that 7 Seas has been publishing. So that's it for all of the new notable releases for the month of August. A lot of cool stuff that has already come out, a lot of cool stuff that is coming out, a lot of things that I am very much looking forward to picking up and reading. Please let me know in the comments below what I talked about in this video you are most looking forward to, especially if it's something that you had no idea. Like I'm hoping that I can help to turn you on to something that you had no idea was coming out. That's my main goal for these videos. So let me know down below in the comments, anything that you didn't know about, anything that you did know about, even stuff that I didn't talk about in this video. What are you looking forward to picking up in the month of August the most, or what have you already picked up in the month of August that you absolutely loved? Thank you so much for watching, and for those of you who are new to the channel, thank you for joining for the first time. I hope you'll hit that subscribe button, and going forward, like I mentioned earlier in the video, thanks to the help of our friend James, I shouldn't be having these videos out later than I want them. You know, I should be getting them out in the first week of the month again. So I will see you again in September for the next Manga Buyer's Guide and any other videos beyond and between that. Peace out. Have a great one.